can see why it's called the Theatre of Dreams. And I think there's just a lot of respect amongst the players. I didn't have an apartment. That type of feeling that's the biggest sensation.
Punished by the acrobatics of Tom Holmes.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Midas Meets. I'm joined by a man who at the age of just 22 has been named as Reading's vice-captain, a man fresh from battle at Old Trafford. I'm of course joined by Mr. Tom Holmes. Tom, good to see you today, mate. Thank you for coming in.
Hi Dan, thanks for having me on.
It's good, mate. How are you doing on this fine Thursday?
Yeah, I'm good. Just been training today, got a little trim up. As you can see, hopefully.
I heard that you did go for a trim specifically for this interview as well. So I feel a little bit scruffy here, mate.
Something's happening Saturday 3:00 as well, to be fair.
But maybe that as well.
That's secondary to this, yeah. It's just been a good day's training, and looking forward to Saturday.
Good stuff. Well, I thought we'll jump straight into this. Obviously, as people might have seen from our other interviews, ask you a few questions, a bit about things going on outside of football, a little bit about Tom Holmes on the pitch, your career so far, etc., etc. Yeah. So let's get into it. We'll do a little bit of this or that. I know you've done this before. I've seen you doing bits and bobs of it on Reading's social media itself. I'm going to ask you two options. You're going to give me an answer, chat a little bit about that, and then we'll hop into the interview. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
Nice, mate. Good stuff. Right, first things first. Night games or Saturday afternoons?
Night games.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised if that answer. Everyone seems to say it's Saturday afternoons. Wow.
Nah, I just think something. Yeah, if I look at like the games that I've played, the games that I've enjoyed most, and I feel like I've done best in, they average out to be more under the lights.
Really, I'm surprised at that because I think as someone who goes to enjoy the football games, I always think the Saturday afternoons, the sun shining down on you. Granted, it's only about 2 months a year in this country, but it's a nice Saturday. I'm really surprised you said that. But anyway, clean sheet or goal?
Clean sheet.
Yeah. Well, was it? You scored, was it one career goal?
One career goal.
It was a good goal, though. I've got to say. Very good goal.
Few and far between, but it was a good goal. But I think I have to say clean sheet because I've only scored one goal. So.
Nice. Curry or Chinese?
Curry.
Curry. Everyone has to say curry. Anyone that says Chinese, I end the interview right there. 100%.
I think me personally, a Chinese is massively overrated.
Bang on. 100%, mate. 100%.
I don't know if that's a hot take, but
no, not at all.
If you were to give me any other sort of takeaway, would have chosen the other one.
Any favourite curry houses in Reading?
Curry houses.
Good bit of promo for them here. I'm this.
Oh, good curry houses in Reading. That's such a good question. That's a question for my brother.
Yeah, nice.
I can't say I've been to too many. I'm interviewing the wrong Holmes, brother. That's what's happened here. Yeah, I think you are. I can't say I've been to too many. I just know that I'd prefer. If I was, I'd prefer a curry over a Chinese.
I agree, mate. I agree. Now a bit of a changing rooms question. Who would you rather have on the tunes in the changing rooms? Andy Carroll or Shane Long?
Shane Long.
Really? What kind of stuff does he put on?
He likes his folk. He likes his proper sing along songs, and and he can play the guitar as well. So he's very musical.
Would he put on a sing along? Oh, go on.
He'd sing. I'd rather him sing, actually, to be honest.
Well, would you have that pre-match as well? Bit of a sing-along? Surely not.
No. I probably wouldn't have him on music before a game. Just on like an afternoon like this, I'd choose Shane Long over Andy. But I'd say before a game, I'd put Andy ahead.
Good stuff. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation, yeah.
Favorite game?
Probably, it's FIFA.
Classic.
Not a massive gamer, but
no. Were you when you were growing up, or?
Yeah. Growing up, just played FIFA. Mostly FIFA, or just computer games more than PlayStation, really.
Nice. And finally, do you prefer to play in the FA Cup or in the Championship?
That's a bit of a trick question.
Yeah. Well,
If it was like the last FA Cup game, then
yeah.
I think as a one-off, I think the FA Cup,
yeah. There's something for me. I support a Championship club myself, but I get a really good feeling in the FA Cup. Such a prestigious competition. Always love it. Playing the giants, playing the tiny teams. It's something really special. I don't think it's really specific to our country. I love it.
Yeah. There's definitely more of a buzz around the ground, even at Select Car Leasing. Like there's more of a buzz around an FA Cup game than there is every week Championship game. So like that creates like more atmosphere and there's more on it, which is better for the players.
Well, going into the FA Cup, and I know you recently, like I said, come back from playing Manchester United. What was that experience like playing at Old Trafford, stepping out there roughly, I'd say about 10 days ago, 2 weeks back? What was it like stepping out there?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was like nothing I'd ever done in football or life. You could see why. Well, I've been before with the 23s. I was like blown away, like just how impressive like the stadium was and how cool. Like it was the best stadium I'd ever been to, and that was without fans in. And then like you could see why it's called the Theatre of Dreams when you walk out and like you just people like they go on forever up into the gods, and it does really feel like a theatre. Like it's incredible, and to think that the United players get to play there every other week, incredible.
And do you still maybe not pinch yourself, but do you sometimes when you step out of these iconic stadiums, like you said, Old Trafford, I know in the Championship as well, and in the FA Cup you played at a wide variety of top iconic stadiums. Do you ever step out and think, I'm still amazed by this. I'm still this little kid that just loves football?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone that plays, majority, even up until until they retire, they still have that feeling. They still get that buzz. I'd like to think anyway. But yeah, even more so is that type of feeling. That's the biggest sensation I've had was walking out.
Nice.
Old Trafford, yeah, for sure.
And that sensation there you talk about, is that inspiring you even more to lead Reading back to the Premiership, where they rightfully belong as a major team in this country?
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember as a fan when we first went up, and more so actually the second time we went up because I was a bit older. But I remember how like cool it was and to have Premier League players just at Medeski it was at the time. And to be able to like watch them every week, even that was like you had a buzz going to watch Reading, and to be able to have like a chance to do that and push for that. Obviously we're all going to push for that, and it'd be better to play against players.
Well, talking of Manchester United and Reading, there's a common tie there in, of course, Paullintz, who is an English footballing legend, won the FA Cup several times, the Premier League, etc., etc. Working under him, obviously he's been at the club since February 2022, I believe it is. How would you define him as a manager and his management style, and what is it like playing underneath him?
Yeah, I think it's been really, really good for my game. I think if you look at like the first year and a half under Pauno, like there was a lot of learning. Played a lot of football, different positions, and probably hadn't quite like found my like role properly within the team, especially on that second season with Pauno. And I think with the manager coming in, he's instilled a lot of confidence into my game. He's seen me as like someone that's senior within the team, and has shown us like he gave me the vice captaincy, which was a massive moment for me. Like, and that really instilled a lot of confidence in me to then go on and become like a mainstay as at centre back, my position. So I think mostly he's just instilled a lot of confidence. And yeah, I think he's a man manager. he's brought a lot of discipline and professionalism, I'd say, to the training ground compared to the previous gaffer, which by the end of it wasn't as it is now. So I think that's been really positive. And I think there's just a lot of respect amongst the players for the manager, for what he's done in the game. And I think that you can't underestimate that. And yeah, I think on the whole, it's been really positive for me.
We talk about confidence and the things he's done in the game. Naturally, I think any manager given the opportunities and showing trust in you is going to raise your confidence. When you've got a player, or when you've got a man who had such a successful career as him, does that instill even more confidence in you as a young player to know you've got the ear and you've got the trust of someone who is so decorated?
Yeah, I think, it heightens it, and it adds more weight to it, obviously, because he's captain. Like he's been at the pinnacle. He's captain England. So that was a big moment for me, to have that trust instilled by a manager, while still being quite relatively young. That was a really big moment for myself. Yeah.
And obviously you signed a new contract at Reading last summer. Congratulations. Was he one of the main reasons behind wanting to stay at Reading?
Yeah, obviously he liked what he saw at the end of last season. We had relatively good spell, a couple like big moments under him when he came in, and I was involved in them, and I think he appreciated what I brought to the team. Like we spoke over summer, and I liked what he was saying in terms of sort of my future really at Reading, and what his plans were for me, and they sort of lined up with how I wanted my career to go. So it was a massive part.
Good. Well, you talked there about being given more leadership role. And obviously, you're 22 years old, which I find it hard to believe that you're younger than I am, which is quite scary. But I'm amazed that you've taken on such a good leadership role in the team. Now, you look at yourself here. What do you think are the characteristics that you have personally which make you so adept at being a leadership in the dressing room as such a young man?
Well, it's weird because growing up, I was never captain. They never made me like captain of the age group, but it was always something that I like wanted to do and wanted to strive for and like work towards. And I knew that being captain of whatever club I ended up at, but more importantly, captain at Reading was like a big one of my main dreams. So I don't really know. You have to ask the people that appoint, and luckily I've had a couple of opportunities to captain this season. I don't know. I think I'd probably say I lead more by example than particularly with my voice. I'd say communication is something that I've really tried to work on this season, and I have improved on it. There's always more improvements to be made on it, of course, but I'd say I have improved on that. But it's probably sort of by like application and professionalism and the way I carry myself. That's what I'd like to say I brought to that role. But like I'm still young, so I'm still like,
of course,
I'm still working it all out as well. And luckily at Reading, like for the last 3 years, we've had loads of senior players and like experienced players. So like being able to go up to talk to them and like gauge if you're doing things right, if you're not doing things right, how to be around the training ground, how to manage your body, like loads of things that you can just ask like your teammate next to you who's just literally seen it all. So like that's been invaluable.
A really good sounding board to have in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And you spoke there about playing in the different age groups, growing up at Reading. Talk to me about joining the club. I think it was at the age, was it 8 years old? talk to me about joining the club at that age and how you entered the system, really.
So I started playing football when I was 4, and then fortunately, one of the coaches at my local team, Woodley Town Kestrels, shout out Woodley Town Kestrels.
Yeah, nice.
One of the coaches, Phil Norville, sorry, actually worked at Reading as well.
Okay.
And he was like, "Yeah, you obviously got a bit, so let's try you at the academy." And then at first they were like not having him. I was
really?
like,
wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like that's cool.
Okay.
Like, I'll just go back to Woodley Town Kestrels, and like
Yeah.
we were 6, so I was just like, oh, like I'm enjoying my football.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. And then he was like, "Someone like, what are you doing back here?" I was like, didn't really work out. And they were like, he was like, no, like something's not right. And then luckily, and I'm forever grateful that he did this. He was like, no, let's get you back in. And then trialed for another, I don't know, 6, 12 weeks. And then, just went straight into the academy. And I wouldn't say it's been plain sailing, but there was definitely, I definitely had a good experience with the academy.
Yeah. And did you always come from, or have you come from a sporting background yourself? Do you have any other family members that maybe went into sport as well? Or have you kind of broken the mold a little bit there?
No, I'd say, we're relatively sporty. We're definitely not the sportiest.
No.
Definitely not the sportiest.
I mean, you did say your brother was a connoisseur of curries earlier. So.
He's the sportiest. So
really, wow.
Out of the rest of the immediate family. So probably not a good sign. No, he just knows how to enjoy himself.
Nice. He knows a good meal.
He got me into football really.
Really?
He's a few years older than me. And we played all sorts of games, made up games, football, cricket, everything. Growing up, that was just all we did really.
But even as a kid, were you always going to watch Reading? Because I know you're a lifelong Reading fan. As a child, like, can you remember your first experience of going to watch the club?
So the first season was the 05-06 season, which was our record-breaking season. So like after that, it was
you were in deep.
I'm signed up. That's me.
That's you for life.
Yeah, that's me for life. So like, I didn't really have a choice after that. That was my brother again. He wanted to go, so then naturally I followed, being the younger brother. So that was cool.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you always play as a defender when you were growing up through the academy?
No, I played. I was just everywhere.
Mr. Versatile, hello.
I'd say I wouldn't say specialised, because that suggests I've like mastered the role, but like I like found my position. I think it was like coming to the end of under 15s and then under 16s. And I just sort of played up until that point. I played anywhere up the middle of the pitch, even a few games at striker. But yeah.
Wow. A few games at striker.
Don't need to talk about them.
No. Score many goals at that age?
1 and 2, I think.
I'll take it. Better than me, mate.
Better than my record now, yeah. Then, I tore my hammy in my second game up top.
Oh, blimey.
And, that was
the end of that
then. When I was really young, I played everywhere. Like I just followed the ball. I just wanted to be involved wherever the action was.
Yeah. Good. Kind of move on from you growing up now and talk about when you first started getting involved with us lot, with Midas. How did you come across Midas? How did you come across Steve? At what point was this in your career?
So this was under 16s.
Mm-hmm.
I was having like quite a good season, and I was like, okay, like probably going to get a scholar here. With how things were going, like I was playing up an age group, and because around 14s, 15s, I wasn't like I was okay, but I was still growing, and I was like, I wasn't there. I definitely wasn't one of the the best in the age group, but 16s I like grew into my body, like as I said, like found my position, and then started performing well, playing up age groups, and then it was around that time that Midas got in touch, because I think it was Steve or Dave Hughes had watched us against Man City, and even though we got bopped 4-0, I still like had a good game, and I was and they like made a note of that, and then got in touch, and then I didn't even meet you guys, I don't think, but it was my mum, and dad that I think it was my mum and dad, or just one of them, that went and met Steve and Dave, and the rest is history.
And what point, granted it was more your parents involved at that point than you, but what do you think drew them to working with Midas, and what was the inspiration to, I guess, link up with Midas at that point?
They just really liked how obviously honest Midas were, how they believed in the player agent relationship, wasn't just like a commodity for them. It was like they want to build something here, and getting me at such an early age was that connection and that human touch side to it was even more so important, because I was only 16, and so I think that's what appealed. And more importantly, Dave Hughes said that his mum made him do A-levels.
Your parents love
and then I think, but I didn't know that until only like a year or so ago that my mum told me that.
Really?
It's like, yeah, that was one of the big reasons.
So it's non-footballing reasons. It was me to do A-levels. Nice, cheers.
So I was like, okay, because they were obviously I had a say as well, but they were big driving factors in it.
Yeah. Mind you, as a young man now who was also, I don't know if you've spoken all that much about this, about you also studying a degree at the moment. It's clear that education is still quite important to you. Maybe that was drilled into you by Dave Hughes. Maybe.
No, I think my mum had it on her own.
How is the degree going as well, by the way?
Yeah, it's all good. I'm in my third year now. Doing it part-time. I just crack on with it in the afternoons. Keeps brain active.
Yeah, and you've still made time for me, mate, which I do appreciate.
10 minutes later.
Yeah, true. I won't hold you to that. How has your career benefited from working alongside the team at Midas? Obviously, it's been now 6 years since you joined the team. How have we shaped your career to lead you to this point now?
It's just been a bit of a sounding board, really. I wouldn't say I'm quite just keep myself to myself, and I think Midas are similar. But when I've needed advice, or I feel like Midas could sense that I was a bit upset with things or a bit more emotional about certain things, that's when they'd like intervene and just see the bigger picture, which sometimes like I struggle to. Not often, but there'll be times where I struggle to do that because I care so much about
of course
what I'm doing and where my career is going. But no, they really just keep feet on the ground. And it was really really been giving me. They've really given me a lot of trust, and there's a lot of trust for them, so it's been good.
Yeah. Well, one of the, I guess, career-defining decisions you've made along the way is, of course, that loan move over to Belgium, KSV Roeselare. Now, what was the thought process behind? Did I pronounce that okay? Is that right?
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, thank you. What was the thought process behind the loan move to Belgium?
That was purely just to get men's football. That was it. Looking back on it, I was literally just at a stage where I would go anywhere, and I think it was quite clear that I'd go anywhere, because I went to sort of middle of nowhere Belgium to play some men's football. Would have just gone anywhere, get men's football, get games, be in a first team changing room, because it was obvious that I wasn't going to get that at Reading. And yeah, it came up within the space of about a few days, because I had an injury that pre-season, and I'd only had a couple of weeks left in the transfer window to get it done, and then got back fit, and then within a few days of like hearing about the interest, I was in Belgium. Yeah.
And we're starting to see in football nowadays more young English players moving abroad. Why do you think it is becoming more common?
That's a good question. I think because there's been success in it, especially in Germany. I think foreign clubs probably trusting English talent a lot more. And then on the flip side, I think because English football is becoming a lot more like saturated with foreign players, and like the standard is just getting better and better, and the money getting pumped in is just more and more. I think it just makes sense to just try your hand in another country. And also, like, other lads have done it and been successful, and then you see that and you think, well, I could do that.
Follow the pattern.
Yeah. You look at like Sancho and you think his career just blew up when he went to
Dortmund.
Yeah. And now come back to England, he's levels ahead in the eyes of coaches and stuff.
Well, obviously, it's another period where I know you had some injury issues when you were over in Belgium, and there was, of course, COVID. What difficulties did you experience, and how has that defined you as a player? Or how has it made the Tom Holmes that we see today?
There were a lot of, like, it was not a smooth loan whatsoever. There were a lot of difficulties. I didn't play for the first 3 months. I didn't have an apartment. I was just in a hotel room, sort of size of your garden shed, with another player. The club went into administration, for a few days. Ended up like training just on your local 3G. I think it was like a 7th tier Belgian team, just training their 3G in like just in our civvies, and I was just like, how am I? I had a sort of out the body moment. I was like, how have I ended up not playing any football? The manager didn't really like me. I didn't really have many friends in the team, and like I was just in a hotel, so a lot of things weren't weren't really falling into place. And then I just decided to like stick at it, and like, because I knew I was of a level to play in the team. It was just I wasn't getting the opportunity. And fortunately, like, there was a yellow card, or so there was a suspension or an injury. I think it was a yellow card, actually. The central centre-back reached his limit. I think he'd reached 5 or whatever. And I got thrown in, did well, then came out of the team because I wasn't picked on merit. I was like, I had to play because there's no one else to play. And then I finally like forced my way into the team. And then the next game, manager got sacked. And I was thinking, all that for nothing. Like, this new guy's going to come in, he's going to be exactly like the other guy. But fortunately, he wasn't. And he loved me.
Saw the quality and saw the hard work.
Saw my style and like what I could bring to the team. And then, I got like, I only played like 11 games. But remember, like, I was playing men's football and I was playing like professional football, and I was like, and then I felt like I was an important part of the team. That's how the manager made me feel anyway. And I was just like, even though it was the 2nd tier of Belgium, I was like, this is incredible. This is what I want to do. Like,
to feel appreciated in first men's football, like, get an experience.
And playing in front of fans, like,
I
had a taste of it at Reading, but I wasn't part of it. Like, I wasn't part of it. Because it was just different level at that age. Like, I wasn't there, obviously. And then I like played here, and it's like I felt like I could do it, I could perform, do well, like playing in front of fans, and yeah, I just like those
Yeah.
10 games. I really enjoyed it, and it was like
Good.
chalk and cheese the first few months to
Good.
the last few years.
Well, as well, what must have, as someone myself, I've also worked abroad, and that feeling of integrating in a foreign workplace, living outside of your comfort zone, the amount of pride you get from that, and the amount of confidence you gain, there's nothing like it. And that's probably why you've grown into be such a resilient, hardworking player now.
Yeah, I think like if say if I ever come across that situation again where a manager's not really having me, and I've had it a little bit over like periods whilst at Reading, like where I might have been out of favour for a bit. I've just thought, well, I know what to do. I just need to knuckle down and let the football do the talking. Which because is what I did, and I was successful and sort of ingrained into my belief system.
Because I was going to ask that, I was going to say, whenever something happens to you now, whether you're facing a little bit of difficulty and you're able to resolve it, do you ever see parts of yourself from Belgium, or are there bits from that experience that you go, oh, like that's helped me get over this situation in that way or that way? Do you know what I'm kind of getting at? Is those negative experiences, do you find yourself using them nowadays to better yourself?
Yeah. Like so those little blips or those little periods of sort of bad form, maybe, or maybe I've not quite felt that appreciation that I've had from the manager that I had in Belgium. That like we want you here. We want you to be an important part. Like if I've not had that, then I can sort of fall back on that time. Even though it's such a short time, it was literally my first taste of men's football. So that's going to stick with me forever. So it's like it was sort of I feel like I made the loan what it was.
Good,
because it could have gone very differently. And I remember the club was saying like you can come back if you want, and obviously that was attractive. But it just didn't really make much sense to me.
Which actually probably answers one of my earlier questions about leadership, where clearly experience like that has given you more resilience and confidence, and also maybe as a sounding board for the younger players. So maybe that is perhaps one of the reasons why you're now in such a strong leadership role. A lot of people do see you as that character to bring the team forward.
Yeah, I think it's definitely given me strength in my own game, and strength in my self-belief and as me as a player, which if you don't have that, then you're not going to go far.
And so obviously we talked about your past area experiences growing up at Reading, loans, etc. Looking at the season ahead, now we've just come past the halfway mark, counting down the days to the end of the season. What are your personal ambitions and what are the team's ambitions for the remainder of the 2022-2023 season?
The manager will say safety, just to ensure safety. And I think obviously that is our first aim. But I think obviously for most of the teams in the championship, it's to reach them elusive playoff spots. So yeah, that would be the aim. And yeah, for myself personally is to just try and be available firstly for every game, and then work on the things that I'd set myself targets on at the start of the season, such as like just little bits about my game.
And maybe score a goal as well, because it'd be really good for our social media.
I've forgotten what that's like. I don't give you much content.
Both, mate.
Don't give you much content.
Yeah. And the final question I like to ask this to all of our guests. If you had a time machine, you can go back and watch any game in footballing history. Which one would you like to go and watch?
This is going to be controversial, but
you can say Reading game.
Yeah.
Really? Mate, I would have said a Bristol City one, so it's not that bad.
That's the thing, yeah. I think it would have to be the Simod Cup, right? It's the only trophy we've ever won, other than titles, and it's it was called the Winners' Cup, I think, the Simod Cup, and it was only you'd have to do your own research on this, but we won it. It was only like an official tournament for 5 or so years, but we won it. I think it was 88 or 87. Yeah, that was the only silverware that we've ever.
What was so special about it, bar the fact that it was
Well, it was played at Wembley, like we won. I don't know.
Who were you against in the final?
It was against Luton.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So
are Luton the local rivals to Reading? I don't really know what the local teams are. Aldershot, I guess. Swindon?
Yeah, Swindon, Oxford, and Wickham, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Can I just say we've had about several people there.
It's a bit random. It's very random.
But Alex Cochrane at Hearts said, I think he said Istanbul, or he said the Liverpool game. Liverpool against Barcelona. Matt Butcher, who said the Barcelona PSG game, and you've had Tom Holmes say the Simod Cup. levels.
Oh, okay. That's for Reading fans.
No, mate, I like it. I like it.
Outside of Reading,
yeah.
Such a good question. I think England World Cup 66.
Yeah. That's what I'd say if it wasn't Bristol City, I think. Yeah. 1966.
And like
yes, win it.
You're in the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Imagine storming the pitch, like pitch invasion.
Unbelievable. Mate, imagine storming the pitch of the Simod Cup. That's where I want
to be. all 10 of us.
Oh, love it. Love it. I think that's all, mate. I think that's all I got to ask you. I've chewed your ear off enough. Thank you very much for joining me, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Cool. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.